All right, guys, welcome back to Within Tolerance, episode 6. And today we're going to be just doing our normal spiel, whatever you want to call it. And I'm pretty excited about this one because I think we're keeping a weekly schedule at this point. I think we're posting every Wednesday, I want to say.
Yeah, that's
And
what we're
so
shooting
far,
for, at least.
yeah, and so far the response has been great. The Instagram's going great. We've been checking the views on the app that shows all the analytics, and you guys are listening to the podcast, so we're definitely going to keep making them. And what's really cool is if you guys didn't see, we got on Apple Podcasts, like the generic Apple Podcast app. So everyone on iOS can now just use that app, which is super nice. Now I have a bunch of family members listening to us, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I can't believe how long it took, especially once we tried to go direct. It was just such a pain, but I'm glad we're on there now and everything's working.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And if you guys haven't already, a couple things. One, make sure you check out the Instagram Within Tolerance Podcast. If you are listening on Apple, or even if you're not, head over there, type in Within Tolerance, and give us a review. That'll help us out. And then the third thing is just tell one friend or go ahead and post about it on your Instagram story and tag us. We'll repost it so we can both get a little bit of following and traffic, and that would be awesome.
Definitely, yeah. We're looking forward to reaching more people and hopefully bringing you guys some more quality content and information and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and I think within the next couple weeks, I have a couple ideas for some people to get on here, and I know Dylan does as well. And so maybe within the next couple weeks, we can have some special guests join, or like we mentioned, I think it was in last episode, if any of you guys want to join and could shed any light on something specific, feel free to shoot us a message. We can talk about it beforehand and get you guys set up.
Yeah, we'd love to have any other instant machinist on here. Everybody's got something to contribute.
Yeah. So without further ado, how has job shop life been with Dylan?
Pretty good. We had that large order that was taken on both machines for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. And those we dropped off at Anodize Monday and should be picking up tomorrow. So everything's going really well. I'm working on that larger stainless order right now. And just staying super busy tonight. I had to make a bunch of little fixture pieces. So I think I set up and ran 4 different operations between the kitty and the brother, and some soft jaws and things like that. So staying busy, programming a lot, getting to work with some different materials, which is always fun and a nice challenge.
That's good. I know, didn't you say that larger order you had to get kind of rushed out for Monday to get anodized?
Yeah. They paid for an expedite on that, and so they're due Wednesday. So I don't know if they're going to end up charging us an expedite at the platers, but I always put it in our PO to them, like an empty expedite line, and tell them to update it if there is an expedite, and I'll change it on our end.
Yeah. And those were the parts you were staying up super late and sleeping every 18 minutes?
On the first stop, and then it just there was a lot to do. That's for sure. I was there. So I finished work at 5 on Thursday, and I was there till almost 2 a.m. and then went home, and then was back at 7:15.
Okay.
So it was a long weekend, but I also thought that they needed to be at the platers by Friday, because I thought they were due Monday, and then while I was running parts on Friday, I looked at my PO from them again and realized that they had specified Wednesday. So it kind of gave me a little bit of breathing room. I mean, I still wanted to knock them out as quickly as possible, but I wasn't, pulling my hair out anymore.
That's good. And those were, can you disclose the material?
Yeah, they're just 6061.
Oh, okay. And
a few smaller parts.
2 or 3 ops? I can't remember if you told me.
2 of the parts were 2 ops, and 1 part was 5 ops.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and it had. Thankfully, I had saved it because it had some interesting fixturing using some of their threaded holes to secure it to a fixture. And thankfully, I had kept those on our shelf, not even thinking that we'd use them again. I nearly threw them out last time we were headed to the recycling place, but we still had them.
Oh, so this was a repeat?
Yeah. All 3 of these parts were we had done smaller prototype runs of them, and then they gave us a larger semi-production run.
Well, that's good. So you're kind of familiar still with the parts and, the whole process more or less.
Yeah, for the most part. The two smaller parts were a cakewalk. Like I would love to do hundreds of those. The
Yeah,
larger part, even having done them once, was a still just a giant pain in the ass. There's
really.
definitely some things that I would like to do differently if we get them again. If I had a fourth or a fifth, man, they would be cakewalk. But just because of some weird angles on them, they end up being a little bit of a pain.
Was that just the fixturing and the soft jaws that you had to make for them were just not, I mean, obviously you got them done, but not ideal, for a 3-axis.
Yeah. I mean, there's just some angled sides that you can't get to from the first two ops, and so you have to like really control your blends on the final ops. And if not, it becomes kind of a game of playing around with offsets and making sure your fixturing is really dialed and all your tools are really dialed and all that. And by the end, they ended up working out okay. But like I had made an offset in the beginning to make one dimension smaller, and not really thinking down the line because we were in just such a rush, and that shifted where the part was on my fixture, and so it wasn't banking as well as it could have for the fourth op. And so I ended up having to relieve the fixture a little bit and make it seat better, but it took me a few parts to kind of realize what was going on. We still saved them, and they're good parts, but it was just a pain. It wasn't
Yeah.
fun.
I always hate when you're running stuff like that and you're trying to dial it in. Like you said, touching offsets and all that. I hate having to do that. I'd rather change my tool path because you start forget even if you write down stuff, it's so hard to because you think, oh, I'll remember this. And then you start changing all these offsets or comps or whatever, and then you just get lost. And then sometimes you just have to reset and say, okay, remove all of this, let's start fresh. Um, and yeah, you could just get into trouble pretty quickly there.
Yeah. If I don't have a clear direction that I'm moving my offsets or my cutter comp towards, usually I'll write down every change or take pictures of my offset pages in
Yeah,
between edits, just so that I do have that information.
yeah, I'll do that too. It's so easy with just your phone just to snap a picture of the offset screen real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
And I always normally I just put a thumbs up in front of it and then a thumbs down if it didn't work, so I can actually go back.
That's a
So
good idea.
yeah, so just a little something. So that's good. So larger stainless steel part, you're working on that still or going to?
Yeah. I'm in the middle of it right now. It's the whole process is taking a little longer than I'd like, but
Yeah.
we don't really do uh, this material all that much, and so it's kind of a learning experience, and it's a fun job. So it'll all work out. I've got probably another day and a half on it.
So are you just kind of whittling away slowly at the material because you only have the one piece, right?
Yeah, well, it came in. The part was very close to like close to a stock size, but I couldn't take the chance on that expensive of a piece of material to buy. If it's, I don't even know what it is, but let's say it's like, 975 or 985. I couldn't
Yeah.
take the chance on buying inch stock. So I bought the next size up. So I've been doing a lot of facing and cleaning up the stock and taking off all the mill scale. I've been doing a lot of fixture building, a lot of programming. I just tonight finished, for the most part, most of my fixturing, and I set all my final tools. So tomorrow I'm really going to get after it and remove some material.
Okay, so you're just kind of doing all the prep work.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and you got all those helical tools for that, right?
Yeah. I'm interested to see if what they're telling me to run it at is correct, because
Yeah.
it's a little scary.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 3/8 flute tool in a 300 series stainless, and they want it like, I'd have to double check, but it was 200 something inches a minute.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean it's only a 25 or 30 thou step over. I think 625 or 700 deep, but it
Okay.
was it's still like, ooh, that's quick.
Yeah, it's almost like, do you really? I mean, you don't need it to be that quick.
Right,
Then
right.
again, you don't want to go slow. I think, right?
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to work hard in the material, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna, I'll dial back all the knobs in their the map, Machining Advisor Pro. I'll
yeah,
dial them all back as far as I can, and the biggest thing is feet per tooth. So if I need to, I'll drop the surface feet a look, in half and start there. And if it sounds good, then I can bump it up because there's a few
yeah.
different operations on this, so I can always test in one op and then start raising it. I've got two of every single tool as well, so I've got a little bit of wiggle room as far as being able to dull one or break one, heaven forbid.
Yeah, I was just about to ask how many of each you bought. Yeah, two's a good number.
Yeah, it was still quite the bill, but I think it was worth it overall.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, I mean, with stuff like that, aluminum tools and whatnot, drills and stuff like that, I try to. I mean, it depends. If it's like, okay, it's like a $9 drill. Okay, maybe I'll just buy two. But if it's like a $2 drill, I'm just gonna buy like $10 worth of them and have them, laying around type thing.
Yeah, well, and depending on, like, especially speaking of drills, depending on where you're getting them from, like MSC, a lot of those drills you have to buy a pack of 12 or whatever.
Yeah,
You can't buy one. So
that's the one thing I noticed that a while back when I had to buy. It was like a 40 thou drill. I noticed that I understand for like really small drills, like a 40 thou drill. I understand you have to buy like a pack of 10, but like it was for like a lot of normal sizes. Like you couldn't buy just 1/4 inch drill.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can if you like shop around, but they'll end up being a lot more expensive.
Yeah. So I can't remember. I think McMaster actually has decently priced drills and they're not bad. So
I've heard that. I don't think I've ever bought any cutting tools from McMaster, but I've heard that they. I mean, the whole thing with McMaster is they like never say what brand it is,
yeah.
but I've always heard that they stock pretty decent brands.
Do you do with your drills? I'm just for like 6061 work. Do you do a lot of high speed steel drills? You just, because it's easy.
Yeah, so we bought the Mari tool, Morse high speed tool or high speed steel index that they have. It's like
Oh, really?
$200 or $300, and it's got a ton of drills in it. I can't
Okay.
remember. I think it's got. I don't think it has down to 60, but maybe 50 through one number drills, 16th up through half inch, and then all the letter drills. I want to say.
Okay.
So it's got a ton, and then we also bought a um, Cobalt stub drill index for numbers, and then we've got a couple tiny drill sets as well, like I think 61 through 80.
Okay.
So that's mainly where we get stuff, and then if I know I'm going to need something oddball that I don't have or a metric, I'll just order it off of MSC. I use a lot of carbide circuit board drills for that
Okay.
kind of stuff, like especially really tiny holes, 30 thou, 20 thou, stuff like that, because they just work super well.
And are they that expensive? I mean,
No,
when it,
they're
yeah,
maybe $10 a piece, if, like for the larger ones, but I think yeah, between $5 and $10 a piece.
yeah, that's worth it.
So yeah, those are my go tos for sure.
Yeah. I had one of those. I don't know. It's kind of one of those off brand drill indexes. And I was running those plastic parts a while ago. And it was like a weird sized hole. And I was helix boring it. And then I was contouring it with depth cuts to bring it to size. And it was just taking so long. And I didn't want to touch those drills because I knew they were kind of like not the best quality. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to risk it. And honestly, they drilled perfectly and they cut beautifully. So I'm like, okay, I might need to get another set of these because it's
Nice.
way easier to use.
Yeah, so I just looked it up. The Mari tool one is 297, and it's a 115 piece Morse brand, so USA made drill set.
Okay, so that's good quality then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's letters A through Z, numbers 1 through 60, and 1/16 through half inch in 1/64 increments.
Okay, yeah, that might be a good pick up maybe on their Black Friday or if they have a sale going on.
Yeah, yeah. It's honestly like I think we hemmed and hawed for a day. We're like, oh, well, do we need a full index? Blah blah blah. But like having that go to, like
Yeah.
when I'm programming at home or doing a quote, and I look at what drill I need. I'm like, oh yeah, I got that. I got that. Like unless it's some oddball metric size, I nearly almost always have it.
Yeah, that's good.
So, so what about you? You just got back from, I don't want to say this wrong, a brick fair in Virginia. What is it called?
It's just Brick Fair, Virginia. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like a brand is Brick Fair, and then I think there's Brick Fair, Alabama, Brick Fair, Virginia, New England, New Hampshire. Um, those, or is it New England? I can't remember. There's a bunch of them, but yeah. So Brick Fair, Virginia. Every year I go to that. I've been going for like, I want to say 5 years. 2014 sounds about right. Something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I started vending, I think 3 years ago, and I've been a vendor since. And yeah, overall, very successful trip. Very happy. Yeah, did really well and got to meet a lot of people. Met some contacts that were actually like somewhat machining and manufacturing related. So I got some emails to reply to. So that's kind of cool.
Awesome. That's really cool.
So
Sounds like overall this was a really good trip.
yeah, made some business connections and like I was telling Dylan off air. So at these conventions, I sell all my stuff, but I doubled what I did last year and the previous year. So I don't know why that is, but I'm not complaining. But yeah, I came home and yeah, definitely that's the thing with these conventions is sometimes they can be hit or miss. And sometimes it's like, ooh, like I just barely made enough for my flight, hotel, food, all that stuff, and the table that you have to pay for. But this was like totally cleared that. So
That's awesome. Congrats,
yeah,
man. That's really good. And you said
yeah.
this
So
is the furthest east you go for your brick stuff?
yeah, this is by far the farthest one away.
And what's the next one? When's that one come up?
October. So I got like 2 months, and that one's just in Seattle, so it's like 20 minutes away. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, and that one's by far the largest out of the year that I go to. So it's nice to be able to just go home every day instead of hotel and all that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure net wise it makes the most sense out of any of them.
Oh yeah, yeah, because you don't have to pay for, plane tickets, hotel, none of that.
Yeah. Well, that's
So
great, man. That's
yeah,
I'm glad this year seems like it's really looking up for you.
yeah, it's going well. It's kind of crazy. Now I'm kind of like out of stock of like everything, which is like a blessing and a curse. But it's like, okay, I got 2 months. Let's restock, and then I also want to try to make new stuff. So
Oh boy.
yeah,
Did you look into those carbide reamers for your molds?
I have not, but I was looking through. I think I have like a Harvey catalog I got either in the mail or I've had, and I can't remember who I was talking to, but someone was really pushing me, and I was just kind of looking on their site. But I really do want to look into maybe transitioning to use some of their stuff, but I really do need to just get on the phone with them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you definitely want to find out who your local distributor is too.
Yeah.
Because, like I've said before, our helical distributor locally sucks, but our Harvey one in Phoenix is really, really good. Um,
So if I can ask, what makes them suck?
it's really like a lot of little things. Like the
Uh
first
huh.
thing that kind of tipped us off is they called us. We're like, hey, we want to come by. We want to give you a test tool. We really want to get you on board with Harvey. And I was like, great, that's great. I made a plan with him, and then he just like ghosted me. I never heard
Oh,
back from him.
really?
Yep. And I was like, oh, okay. And then like this last time, even when I ordered tools, I asked them for a quote. Quote came back and it was wrong right off the bat. They had like fudged some numbers, and so they wanted, they had put a 3/4 inch super long extended reach 3 flute end mill on there instead of the 7 flute 3/8 end mill that I needed.
Oh,
So
geez.
at first it freaked me out because I was like, whoa, I way underbid this job because these tools are like
Oh, yeah.
$500 more than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
And then I realized what it was, and so I sent that back. And then I was like, "Hey, can you give me a quote for shipping? I don't want to. I need them here by next Wednesday." And she sent back, "No, I can't. We don't know the weight of the package."
Huh.
I was like, "What do you mean you don't like? You know what the tools weigh? You should be able to find out what shipping's going to be." Like,
Yeah.
I don't know any distributor that can't tell me what shipping's like, or at least give me an estimate. And so she's like, "Oh, I'll call Helical and find out what it's going to be." And so she gave me a rough estimate. And it's just little things like that that like make it
It's
really.
like get your stuff together, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I'm just jaded in like this age of, everything is at my fingertips and it's really easy to order things and customer service is really good, but like it just bothers me that it's like pulling teeth to get information from them. Like even at the end of the order, she asked for a credit card number to ship them and said, "Oh, we won't charge you until they ship." And I said, "Great." And then they got here last week and I got an email from them that was like, "Here's your invoice. Please pay at your earliest convenience," with no link to pay it, no way to pay it, not even like give us a call back with your credit card number. Like I have no idea how they expect me to pay that, or if they're just going to take it out of my account at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It bothers me that it's so hard to do business with them because
I
like when
don't.
I
Oh, sorry. Continue.
no with my Harvey dealer, they're totally on top of it. Like I mean, maybe they don't have like the dollar to the like the exact dollar right for shipping, but like if I ask them for a rough quote, he can give me, plus or minus $5 what it's going to cost,
Yeah.
and like right off his head because he knows roughly what the tools weigh and roughly how long they take and all that. They have experience, and he goes by that. And like they have an online ordering form where I just put in what I want and the quantities, and then he emails me back a quote the next day.
Yeah.
And like
That's
the
what you
last time I
want.
emailed my local helical dealer, I heard back 1 week later after I had already bought tools from another company and received them.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I know. So because Helical and Harvey, it's the same company, um, but you have two different distributors. So like your Helical guy doesn't sell Harvey.
So from what I understand, and I could be wrong,
Okay.
Helical was its own company that got bought by Harvey.
Okay.
Currently, they do not share distributors. So if your Harvey dealer was not a Helical dealer beforehand, before the merger, they are not now either. So like my Harvey dealer cannot deal helical end mills and vice versa.
That seems kind of pointless.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into Micro 100, but now that that's part of the brand too, I unfortunately I expect to have to go to another dealer if I ever need tools from them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's frustrating. Like I know there's a big push on Instagram that like everybody talks about how Helical just needs to get it together and have a website you can order from. And I understand that they're very loyal to their distributors, but I don't know that's everything is moving away from the distributorship model.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the new age and the internet. It's kind of like, I mean, quick backstory. I bought a couple helical tools from one of my local reps or not reps, distributors when I bought my machine just because I was like, I've heard of them. Let's give them a shot. And honestly, I had not a bad experience. It just, to me, it's so, especially me being younger, it's so old fashioned. It's like I've grown up, add to cart, pay now, right?
Right.
And, I understand the world we live in. It's not like that completely yet. I had to call him and he's like, what would you like? And I'm like, well, this is what I need to do. And he's like, okay, I recommend this, this, and this. And I'm, communicating as I look at the website. And I'm like, so I want this part number, this part number, this part number. And, I give him a credit card over the phone and blah, blah, blah. I get an invoice emailed, but it just, that just takes too long. And it's just not the way we live anymore, which is, it's frustrating because I I don't know the back end of it. So, but like, what's stopping Helical from just like, boom, here's a website, go for it, people? Like, I don't get that.
From everything I've heard, and again, I I don't work there. I don't know anybody that works there, so I don't know. This is not from the horse's mouth, but I've heard that it's just loyalty to their distributors who have helped them through all these years,
Yeah.
which I understand. But like, I don't know if they want to stay like that, they need to find distributors that are value added distributors. Like I work with um, a guy through Yamazon Tooling Company or Yamazon Tooling Division, same people who sell Brother machines. They also sell
Yeah.
tools. Clarence, he's fantastic. Like he will get you a quote back immediately and recommend things and like track down quotes for you and all this stuff. And same thing over at Motion Industries. I work with a guy named Tommy over there, and he is like the best sales guy for tooling I've ever dealt with. Like I email him and usually within 20 minutes have an email back, and like he arranges guaranteed test orders and can find if I just give him like I need this kind of reamer, I can't find it anywhere online, like he'll spend his time and go and find those tools for me. And like
Yeah.
that I am totally on board with, because that's value added for me. Like I don't have to
Exactly.
pay for that kind of thing. I mean, yeah, sure, there's a slight markup through a distributor, but I will gladly pay that to have a good relationship where like somebody is helping me as much as I'm giving them sales.
Exactly.
But like when it's like pulling teeth to get the tools that I want, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, if you can't get what you want in a timely manner and a efficient manner, you're just going to look somewhere else.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so, I don't know. It'll be interesting in the next 5 years or so. If any of these guys, I know Sandvik's pushing, but like stuff on Amazon and stuff like that, um, that could
Yeah.
be a huge game changer.
Oh yeah. Amazon's like saved my ass a few times because YG1 is on there,
Yep.
and I placed an order with MSC for a job, and then it was like Friday when I placed the order, and then Saturday rolls around, and I was like, oh, I forgot this one tool, and like thankfully it was a 3 flute that I needed, and YG1 had it. It was an extended 1/4 inch, and boom, I had it the next day.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I understand there's warehousing fees and seller fees, but all that. I mean, but a lot of these guys, can you imagine if there was just a whole manufacturing section for Amazon?
oh, it'd be
Like,
fantastic.
that would be so cool. Have their two, what is it? I think it's like they have a separate website for like 2 hour deliveries or something like that.
Yeah, if you're in the right area. I don't think we have that
Yeah.
yet.
But can you imagine doing that for like an end mill or a drill or anything like that?
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
that,
we kind of have that with Motion Industries here. Like,
okay.
they're not just down the street, but they're, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes from my shop, and like they stock not everything, but if I forgot a reamer or a drill or things like that, usually they'll have something on hand that I can go down and grab and run back to the shop, which is great.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
see Ben's. He lives like 10 minutes from Mari Tool, and I'm like, oh, that would be fantastic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like all the guys who live in the Chicagoland area live 30, 40 minutes even from all of these big name companies. Like
I guess
Lindex
that's
is out
true.
there, Mari Tool's out there, YG1's out there. Like there's a ton of manufacturing in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see, but I agree. It is going to be interesting to see because they're such a big company now. Like Harvey's grown so much and bought so much, and they've bought
Yeah.
really good brands too. So it'll be interesting to see how that all evolves.
Yeah. I remember I had an instructor that would use Harvey stuff like in the early days, like way back, and had some complaints. And it was interesting hearing because I've only heard good things about them, but he had some complaints about them. But he's like, I'll admit, like they've really stepped it up now, and it's cool to hear that from him.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean,
So,
I've only used them for a couple of years, but man, their stuff is just top notch, and it really is tools that you can't find anywhere else.
yeah.
Just crazy kind of stuff that like I would have always had to have somebody locally custom grind or have somebody like AB Tools grind, and if you need it ASAP, then having somebody stock it is that much better.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So what's on the schedule for you this week? You said
Let's
you're getting
see.
back into everything and kind of getting caught up.
Yeah, so today's Tuesday. So yesterday I kind of spent all day unpacking, inventorying, sorting, getting all that stuff kind of put away. Um, Kind of right now, I got a couple clients stuff to do as far as like UV printing goes. I have to print some stuff for some guys. And then I just quoted a repeat job, so that's good. Um, Waiting to hear from them on that. That's just 30 pieces. Kind of annoying part because it's a six setup part, but it's just like drilled and tap holes on all the sides, so it's pretty straightforward. Just kind of annoying.
Decent quantities.
Just 30.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
Yeah, so tiny parts, but I've kind of come to realize I really enjoy working with really tiny parts and tiny tooling. I don't know why,
Well, you have a
but
ton of experience in it too.
yeah, so it's just kind of fun. It's like, oh, you want like a 2 thou radius on that? I got you. Like, I enjoy that for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I looked at one of your molds to help you out, like the tool paths, and I just like saw 1/64th end mill and like cringed internally. I was like, oh, that sounds terrible. But
No, it's funny though, because like I've been running my same 1/64th, eighth inch length to cut. Like I don't know how many. It's got to be over 100, if not 200 hours in cut, and it's still just kicking butt. I don't dare bump up the feed rate because I'll know I'll break it, but um, it just chugs along.
that's crazy. That is
Yeah,
super cool.
like I have no fear when I see that tool go down, and I'm just like, yep, it's just gonna do its thing. So
Yeah, anything below like I don't know a 30 or 40 thou end mill, I like get skittish about. Like, I mean, I'll use them, but that's when I start paying attention a little more.
yeah, like a 32nd to me is like massive, and then like a 16th ball, oh my gosh, it's like an inch end mill for me. Like it's weird how like because like I pick up a half inch end mill now, I'm like Jesus, this is like a face mill to me, you know. So it's so weird, but
Oh, that's so funny.
yeah. Oh, did I tell you? This was a while ago, but I thought I'd bring it up. I was running, so I have like a standard mold tool list, right? It's
Hmm.
like I think it's 5 or 6 tools for the cavity work. And for whatever reason, I never realized I think it was a 3/64th, whatever that is in decimal. Um, I had that in my 1/16th end mill tool holder. Like I was getting them confused. Basically, a smaller tool was in the 1/16th end mill, and I was running it just as fast as I should be for a big. Like basically, it was a smaller tool, but it was taking the cutting forces of this huge tool, and I hadn't broken it in like 3 months, and I caught it the other day, and I was like, how have I not like broken all of these tools? Because this is a smaller tool, but the tool paths think it's larger, so there was like way more material to leave for each subsequent operation.
Right. Yeah. So not
Um,
only did you realize you can run a 3/64th that much faster, but
yeah,
you realize that you can also cut way harder with your whatever your next step down is.
yeah. So it was kind of weird because I was like looking through. I keep the end mill containers. I have my end mill storage, right? And then I have just an empty bin with the containers just in case I need to reference them for whatever reason. And
Hmm.
I was like, where's my 16th end mill? And I was like, I see this, 364th or whatever bin. And I'm like, that can't be it. Then I just did a quick caliper check, carefully. And I'm like, wait a minute. And it all clicked. And I was like, wait, so I can, like, it just was like, whoa, these Kyocera end mills are really nice.
That's awesome. Yeah,
So
I love little happy mistakes like that that you learn really how much you can push it.
yeah, and that's
I've
the
definitely
thing.
done that.
Yeah, and I've tried to. That's the thing, because like the larger tools for me, 1/16th of an inch. You know, that's so weird saying that, but like that tool normally in most of my molds only runs for maybe 5 minutes to do the cavity roughing, and then it'll go to a 1/16th ball, and then et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, is it really worth me trying to bump that up? I know I could feed rate wise, but like I'm kind of at the point where like everything is it just works, and like I haven't broken a mold tool in, knock on wood, probably 4 months.
Right.
Um, the only operation that I wish I could speed up is that last one, but we've already kind of talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when it gets, I mean, if things keep growing like they have been for you, it sounds like it'll be well worth your while. But
Yeah,
you'll just have to kind of play it by ear and do the math when it comes time.
yeah. So we'll see.
That's cool. That's really
But
cool.
yeah, staying busy. I'm trying to probably tomorrow I'll get the machine up and running, because it's one of those things where if I'm not doing job shop work, I've mentioned this before, why not have it, run for 8 hours during the day and then, reset it for a night run and just keep doing that until something comes up.
Right. Right.
Because I have the molds, I have plenty of molds to be made. Nothing's really a rush, but it's like, oh, this needs to get made eventually. So might as well kind of slowly peck away at that list.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, it sounds like those overmolded things too are big, hot things. So.
Yeah, those at the show, those knives that I posted like a week ago,
Hmm.
those I didn't realize I thought they would sell better online just because not everyone goes to this one show. And I was wrong. Like I took them to the show. I should have brought more, and like I was selling those like crazy. That was like the number one question. People would come up to my table and be like, "Where are the knives?" And I'm like, "Oh, right there."
Wow.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah, people loved those.
How'd your badges go over? Those were pretty cool.
Oh yeah, people love those too. It's kind of nice because everyone wears a badge, and it's like if they bought something, I would just give them one. But I also was selling them, and people were buying them, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah, it was same kind of thing at Autodesk University last year. There's little badges for Team Subtractive and pins and all that stuff. I totally understand. For
Yeah,
anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, head over to Payton's Instagram. He made these really cool UV printed Lego brick badge clip-on things. They look awesome. I really like them.
yeah, yeah. So those turned out good,
Yeah, the
but
3D text on those looked really cool too.
yeah, that's cool. Except it just sucks your ink dry. Like you do any quantity of parts with that texture setting. Um, I know the tech when he came here. I can't believe it's been 4 years since I've had this printer. That's crazy. When he came, he was telling me if you ever quote the texture printing option, just make it 10 times more expensive. And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, it sucks up ink. Um, so yeah, it's cool stuff, but it's not cheap to play with.
Yeah, that's significantly more expensive than I thought it would be.
Yeah, and like I tell people, everyone, I think I mentioned this, but like just to completely get a new set of ink for CMYK white and clear, it's like close to $1,000.
Oof,
So,
that's tough. How long does that stuff usually last you if you're not printing 3D?
it lasts a while. I mean, that'll last you. See, that's the thing. It's got a shelf life, so you try to burn through it.
Oh,
And that's the thing. Once the shelf life starts to come close to that expiration date, it can start messing with like the print head, and if you screw up a print head, that's like $1,500. um, so there's all these little costs, but like I think the ink is 9 months after it's opened.
okay.
um, and I could maybe like once a year I'll get new ink, so it's not that bad.
No, but it's still a big operational cost for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Huh. That is interesting.
Yeah.
So we got a few questions through Instagram, and we thought of some as well. Did you want to go through those?
Can you go through those, because I don't have them pulled up
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now?
yeah. I'll read them out. So the first one is from Sean at Nietzsche Products on Instagram. I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry, Sean, if I'm not. Um, his question is kind of a broad question. With the availability of technologies being so easy to obtain, will it eventually cause a saturation to each industry? And
What are
so
your
I'm,
thoughts,
I'm wondering if
Dylan?
he's talking down the line of like how Fusion is making CAM so easy, and how all of these softwares and hardwares are coming down the line that make what was once, high level professional stuff much easier for, Joe Schmo on the street to pick up.
Yeah. So what do you think? I actually just thought of something as you were reading that out.
Um, I mean, I think so. I think it's similar to the whole argument against, or not against robots, but like, oh my, robots are going to take my job. And it's like, well, the jobs just move then. And like
Yeah.
with that kind of technology, like, yeah, so one technology might become saturated, but that just means that it'll make way or pave the way for some other higher level technology. That's just how it works, I think.
I think after just kind of thinking about this, I haven't really thought about this question much, but okay, it is true. It is getting saturated in a good way, right? Things are getting more readily available, which is great. But I think the one thing that people are forgetting is, okay, cool. Let's say, for example, Fusion. It's everywhere, right? You can do full 5-axis, simultaneous, blah, blah, blah with Fusion for free. That's all fine and dandy, but out of all those people that have access to Fusion, how many actually have access to learn? There's a difference between being able to cam up a part in Fusion and do 5-axis toolpaths versus actually go apply that and actually make that part and learn.
Yeah.
So okay, cool, you can give everyone a Ferrari, but if you don't give them the gas, like, who cares, right?
Right. Well, I
um,
mean, or like using your analogy, it's like giving somebody a virtual Ferrari and saying like drive this around a virtual track, and then
exactly.
saying like, okay, go set lap records in a real car.
Yeah, like, you can learn some things, but are you really going to learn you know the ins and the outs? No, because you need access to the machine, and you know you just need to actually do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's kind of my whole argument. Like people constantly are saying like, oh, you don't need to learn manual machining, you don't need to turn handles, you don't need like, and like, yeah, you're probably not going to make money doing it, but
Yeah.
I don't know, like that's how you learn what chip load actually means, or like what cutting forces actually mean. Like all of these older CNC machinists are like, oh yeah, I can put my hand on the machine and feel what's going on, and like you don't just get that. You're either going to make a lot of costly mistakes on a CNC to learn that, or you're going to turn some handles and kind of feel what all these terms actually mean in the real world. So
Yeah, and where they
I think
actually
it's,
came from.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, so no, I agree with that. I mean, there are people that argue, and I can see the argument. Like, if you started with like kids nowadays and like forget manual and just stuck them with like a VF2, like, yes, they'll be able to learn and probably learn the same stuff, but is it the right way to do it? That might be arguable.
yeah, I certainly don't think that it provides you as
You're not
much.
gaining anything from skipping that.
Yeah, I don't think you have like as much base understanding. It's the same thing as like learning G code. Like in school, I had to learn hand coding G code before I
Oh
could
yeah,
learn Mastercam.
I agree. Yep, same here.
And now, while a part is running, I can look at the screen and read ahead a few lines and see potential crashes. Like, granted, I'm not running 5-axis where it's blowing through 10,000 lines of code a second, but on basic operations, I can read through. I can change programs if I need to. I know a lot of people who feel very hesitant about hand editing programs because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There's pros and cons to both, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely agree though. Looking back on it, when I went to school, we started with manual, then I got all excited cuz the next quarter was CNC, and we started out and they're like, "Okay, here's a piece of graph paper. Okay, you're going to write the code to mill like a two-stepped, square and drill a hole in it." And I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me. Like, get me on that VF2. Like,
Yeah,
none of this." And I totally look back on it and I'm like, sitting down and like writing out your safe line, writing out like your offsets, like, and like actually plotting points on like a piece of graph paper and saying like, okay, like, what is cutter comp, like, why do you move the cutter over to the left or the right? Like, how do you engage cutter comp on a lathe? Like, all these things, like, I totally am so glad that they made me do that, because now I understand and I get what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You have that base understanding.
Yeah, and that's really important. So, yes, it will get saturated. It already is starting to get saturated, but will it cause any issues as of right now? I don't think so.
Yeah. I think first, before there's any real issues, it'll cause for the end user like us, especially in terms of CAD CAM, all that means is that there's going to be more lower price CAD and CAM out there and more cost competition, so you get more value for your money. Or at least theoretically, that's how that should work.
Yeah,
Whether
and
that's
there would
going to
just
end
be
what it,
more resources.
yeah, yeah. So hopefully it all works out.
Yeah, we'll see.
And so the other question we got is from Brandon B. Sadiswa. Hopefully I'm saying that one right on Instagram. And he started by giving me some flack for my mouse, which is a Logitech Marathon one,
Oh
M205,
boy.
I think. And you can get them like super cheap at Costco. That's why I love them. They're $20, and if I break one at the shop or it gets eaten by acetone, no big deal.
So are you
Um,
saying you've broken a mouse before?
I have never broken one of these. I have broken a few different ones in the past, actually. Yeah, whether they've fallen off of tables or, like I said, acetone. I had one that just got really eaten up when I accidentally spilled some acetone on it. So,
What Dylan's
uh,
not saying is that's when he actually screwed up a part and he got mad.
no, no.
Uh-huh.
But what started as flack turned into a question and kind of a discussion about, what do we use for mice and keyboards and mouse pads, and what I guess what we use and why, and just kind of a conversation, because that is the connection between you and the CAD CAM system. Like that, it's something you touch every day. It's something you use every day, and it can be a pain point if you don't have something that you like.
I guess I'll go first. Mine's pretty straightforward. Yours probably, I know you have a 3D mouse, I believe so. Um, but mine, I try to stick with Razer products. I love their mechanical keyboards. Their gaming mice are awesome. I have the one that's not with all the fancy, some of these things have so many keys on the left, or the left side of it. It's like I don't even need this many, programmable keys or whatever. It actually might be kind of nice in Fusion, but I don't like it. So I just got kind of one of their standard ones. Always go with a wired mouse, in my opinion, because it's just always going to be responsive, way faster. And then mouse pads, just kind of a plain Jane mouse pad. I don't like a 3D mouse. I you know played with one in school. I just never got around to seeing the benefits. I just used like the shift key or whatever the key is, and then the mouse. So
Yeah. So I am pretty much opposite of you in every single way. I refuse.
that's what I
Yeah, I
figured.
refuse to use wired anything anymore. I can't stand it. I always end up
Oh,
tugging on keyboards or cables or things like that, and they just like I like the simplicity of having wireless systems, and I find that Logitech's wireless system is pretty. As far as like I've never gamed with it, but as far as CAD cam and all of that, I have zero lag and zero issues with it. And then I definitely use a 3D mouse. I've got a wireless one at home, a wired one at both my day job and my shop, and I use. I don't have it set up with shift. I have it set up with clicking the middle mouse button. Like I use that from time to time if I just need to pivot 5 degrees, or if my hand's not on the 3D mouse. But using the hotkeys that you can have, even just on the two hotkeys that are on the standard Space Mouse, like selecting a bunch of edges, I can click on one of those, rotate the model, and click all at once, and knock out a bunch of face selections or edge selections. I just find it heaps easier and much more intuitive to navigate through models using one of those.
yeah.
But one that catches my eye and the one that me and Brandon were talking about is they also have a CAD mouse now with a third mouse button that a lot of people seem to really
Huh.
like, and it's a really high DPI mouse as well, so you're supposed to have really fine control over it. So if I can find one cheap enough on like eBay or something like that, I might end up with one of those because I definitely wouldn't mind that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
interesting.
we'll see. I'm looking possibly to change out our computer screen with a larger TV at the shop, so I can see like my prints and stuff from the machine, and then
That'd
I'll
be cool.
definitely want wireless everything just so I can have it with me and still navigate it from across the room or whatever.
Have you ever thought about? I know I see a lot of shops doing this, but like they have an iPad that they use prints on and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like coolant just gets on everything, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I go back and forth. Like I am one of the people leading the charge to go paperless at my day job, just because we have like so much in forms of document control. But at the same
Okay.
time, I really like having a paper print sometimes. Like
Oh,
I
I
like being
love
able to
it.
write on it. I like being able to you know do whatever I need. I don't know. Like I'm very much torn and in the middle of this because I deal with both sides of it and I see the benefits of both sides, and I just haven't come to terms with either one of them yet. So I'm not quite sure yet.
I totally agree. I always found it interesting in school where you get your print passed out by the instructor. Then by the end of, like a week of you making like a V block or something, there's like every form of substance on that print from oil, blood, sweat, tears, and it just progressively gets
Yeah,
dirtier.
I mean that's why we bought. I put it in Instagram a few months ago. We bought those traveler sleeves from McMaster, and so
Okay.
now I put
Yeah.
we have that bun pan, and so I put the traveler sleeve with the print in there, any other documentation I need, and then I put up the stock with it on its own shelf, and so I know how many jobs I have, what I need. If there's any like specialty tooling that I want to keep out, I'll put that on the shelf too. So it makes it really easy to find what I need, and it keeps the prints really clean.
That's a good way to do it. Were those are probably pretty cheap
Oh
too.
yeah, I think they were. I don't know. I don't want to misquote, but I feel like they were maybe $20 for 10 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well worth it.
You might have to send me a link
Yeah,
later.
yeah, I definitely will. I think they call them
Okay, cool.
document protectors, but
Okay.
they're looks like 5 for $10. So I wasn't too far off.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
doable.
and I think we bought 10 or 15 of them, and you can get them. Like I have them in red, so I can see them from across the room. I know if I have a traveler on the floor, well, we only have one tiny floor, but if I see a traveler from across the room, I know that there's a
Yeah.
job there, or it's one that I forgot to close out. And usually, when I send the invoice for a job, I go ahead and shred the print that's in it and clean off the traveler, and then put it back in the stack of empty ones.
Okay. That's a good way to
Yeah,
do it.
it's just a nice finalization of everything, and kind of feels like I cleared the slate,
Yeah.
quite literally, I guess.
That's always a good feeling. Yeah.
um, so, did you have any questions you come up with this week?
I keep forgetting to think about these. I just don't know why. I just never think about
So
these.
I had the one I sent you earlier, and I thought it'd be interesting to kind of talk about it. And that was, what is? I'll even give it a timeline. What's the best thing you've bought in the last year or two for your shop, not
Oh,
including
that's
your
right.
machine? What's a? It doesn't have to be a high dollar value. It just has to be what is like something you interact with every single day that just like makes your job that much easier or that much more fun or whatever whatever your reasoning is.
Hmm. I had mentioned it in text, but buying the subscription to ShipStation, which is my shipping software, basically takes all my Shopify sales, puts them in one spot, and then I can just basically select orders, click create label, and it makes the shipping labels and it prints an invoice. So I can just hit print and then it comes out on my Dymo label writer, and I got invoices and paid for postage, put that on the outside of the package and just drop it off at the mail, or USPS. So that's awesome. Um, that eliminates me going in individually and printing an invoice. And then I can't believe I used to do this. It's one of those things where you switch over and you're like, I can't believe I used to do this the long way. um, but like I would have to print a paper invoice on my normal inkjet printer, then print out a paid for postage thing, cut it out, tape it to the outside of the package. It didn't look good. Then fold up the invoice because it was too big because it was on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Now it's just like boom, print. You can print like as many as you want at a time, depending on how many orders I have. I'll print 20 or 30 of these at a time. You just peel it off, it's already on a sticker. Doesn't the label printer doesn't use ink, it's just that special
Yeah, the
paper.
heat stuff, heat activated.
Yeah, which is super nice. So yeah, that has by far, it's kind of pricey. It's like 20-30 bucks a month, but it's definitely worth the time.
Yeah,
So
especially for you since you're just a single guy. Like that's if
yeah.
you had somebody that was dedicated to shipping, maybe you could somehow justify taking the longer way around. But for you, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and it just makes everything look a lot cleaner. The invoices are nice. Everything just looks better.
Yeah, I
So,
totally understand that. We've got a customer that we have to bag and tag all the parts we send, and we were using just
oh
like a
really?
little brother, hand labeler for the longest time. And like it would take, if I had 20 or 30 parts, it would take like 5 or 6 minutes to print out all the labels with just the part number on it, just because it was supposed to be for your home to like label cans and stuff, not
Yeah,
make a ton
yeah,
of labels. And finally, I broke down and bought a Zebra label printer sometime last year. And oh yeah, like you said, you can't imagine going back. It's so nice to just, yeah, I want 20 of these, and 30 seconds later, I've got all 20. Like,
yeah. It just
yeah.
spits them
So
out.
I definitely understand that.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, I'm trying to think of if there's anything else. I can't think of anything honestly. Trying to think of something more machining related, something that I would use super often, other than like calipers, but that's kind of
Yeah.
duh.
Well, that kind of
Um,
leads in. So the two, I kind of narrowed it down to two things. One that like is half made by us and half bought, and then the other was like fully bought. And one of them is we bought one of those quantum mics from Midatoyo,
oh
and
yeah,
man, that thing, like I use a 0 to 1 every single day, and it is just so nice and so smooth, and the ratchet's really nice, and it's super accurate, and like I had a Midatoyo just normal coolant proof mic before it, and it works very well. But being able to go from, measuring a 100 thou drill to measuring a 750 or 800 thou part in an instant, it really is. It sounds like such hype, like, oh, you can go from these measurements so quickly, you save all this time, but like it really just does feel so much quicker and so much more fun to use. Um,
yeah. I was gonna ask you because I wasn't sure, but those are you answered my question. Those are the ones that have that higher pitch screw that can adjust
Right.
faster.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell them because they're the gold face micrometer.
Yep. Yeah, the gold and
Yeah.
black.
Yeah. So I think we're going to add
Yeah.
a 1 to 2 soon here because we've been using a few of my mics are like really old manual Shure Tumico ones from like World War II, I think.
Okay. Oh wow.
And they work great. Like they're accurate and whatever, but we measure enough things between 1 and 2 inches now that having a back, an electric quantum mic one just makes sense.
Yeah, I remember when I showed up at my Swiss shop the first day I worked. I didn't have any tools, and the boss gave me his quantum mic, and I was like, this thing's sweet. I was just like playing with it while the machine was running because it was so fast. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the trick that my instructor taught us of you hold your arm out and you like run the thimble or whatever you
Uh-huh.
call it
Yeah, up and
for
down your
the
arm to open
ratchet.
and close it.
Yeah, yeah, because you got to look professional.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you
oh, that was another thing I was gonna mention is I mentioned the iPads and you mentioned like coolant getting everywhere,
mhm.
right? Is it just me or does it give you like a little anxiety when you see these Instagram posts of like I don't get this. Like machinists, even Insta machinists will be like in like a nice button-up shirt, like tucked in, nice jeans, and they'll be running a machine. And I'm like, how does that happen? Like what? Um, I don't understand that. Like, are you extremely cautious of like every potential drop of coolant that could like fall from the top of the machine onto your head and shoulders and arms? Like, I don't
I
understand that.
really think it just comes down to the kind of person you are. Like my business partner Brad, he'll come into work, like into our shop with a white shirt and leave with a white shirt. And like I'll come in and like have to change an airline and look like I stepped out of like a grease factory. Like I seem to just attract dust and grime and dirt. And like to be honest, I kind of enjoy getting dirty when I'm doing good work.
Oh
But
yeah.
like I really just think it comes down to like some people are just dirty people when they're working, and some people are just really good at staying clean. And I'm not one of those people.
I think getting dirty though is the cool part.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Like I enjoy the cycle of like getting dirty and knowing I'm dirty because of hard work, and then getting clean from that hard work. I really enjoy that. But yeah, there are just some people
Yeah.
out there that they could just stay clean. Like I literally, if you saw me after when I work on my car and things like that, like I I look I
Like you went to
yeah, like I
war.
rolled around in grease. Like somebody just like laid it out on the floor and I just rolled around in it like, a pig in slop. And my business partner Brad, he can work on a car all day and like his hands will be dirty or something and that's it. And I'm like, seriously? How are we? We'll be working on the same car, and somehow I end up looking like I rolled in it, and he didn't. So yeah, it's really funny, but I do think it just comes down to the kind of person you are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Let's end it there. Stay clean, everybody, or stay dirty. One of the two.
Yeah.
I don't know why that just made me crack up so much, but I just picture you like going in your car just to get something out of the glove box in like a nice shirt, and then all of a sudden you're dirty for some random reason.
You're not too far from the truth. So yeah, why don't you guys drop us a line on Instagram? Let us know: are you a clean person or are you a dirty person?
Yeah, we need to make this a meme or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, because I really do think
So,
that's the two types of people in the trade.
all right. Make sure you guys share. Make sure you post about this on Instagram. Tell a friend. Go ahead. If you listen on iOS, rate us, give us a 5-star, write a little review. That'd be awesome in the long run. That's going to help us boost up the rankings. So that'll be awesome. And hopefully, we'll be back next week. Hopefully, we'll stick to the schedule. It seems to be working so far. So we're going to just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying
Um,
it. Tuesday is always kind of. I only have a 4-day work week at my day job, so Tuesdays.
Kind of half day or halfway
Yeah,
through.
it's my hump day, so it's kind of a nice way to end the
Yeah.
day and kind of get re jazzed about machining in the middle of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll stick to this for now. See how it goes. If you guys have any questions, make sure you message us within Tolerance Podcast on Instagram. Other than that, we're going to end it there. Stay clean, stay dirty, do something productive, and we'll see you next time.